Frustrating. Causing annoyance or upset because of an inability to change or achieve something. If I had to sum up my time with The Division Resurgence in one word, this would be it. Frustrating. Not because Resurgence is a bad game, quite the opposite. Despite some visual clutter and constant pop-ups that we kind of expect from modern mobile titles, The Division Resurgence is a solid addition to the Division franchise that, in my eyes, fix a lot of the things that players point to as a weakness of The Division 2. And this is where that frustration comes from. If you removed some of that visual clutter, the over-the-top monetization, and gave the game a visual upgrade to a more AAA standard, and released it on the latest platforms and PC, I believe Resurgence could have had the potential to be the next mainline Division title. But sadly, the game is a mobile title, taking everything that is good about the game and mixing it with all of the things that you associate with existing mobile gaming, which to me is frustrating and a shame. During the last beta for Resurgence, I ran the game with high graphics, but this cut the frames down to 30 FPS. So this time around, I wanted to see how the game ran with a much higher frame rate, but sadly this locked the graphics to what the game calls medium. So if the gameplay looks like it's running on a potato, it wasn't in vain. Talking about how the game runs, I've been playing The Division Resurgence on a Galaxy S23 using a Bluetooth Xbox One controller and this cool little clip thing. And using the high frame rate setting with graphics locked at medium, the game ran pretty well actually, with the odd frame dip here or there, but I didn't really see any frames lower than 50 FPS. Yet. But if I'm honest, it's not great being locked to medium graphics. Running on high, the game genuinely does look really good. So it is a shame if you want that 60 FPS, you are kinda stuck at medium. And, you know, medium is passable, but I suppose when it comes down to it, it's what you value as a gamer, shiny graphics or high FPS. Unfortunately, you cannot have both, so there is a bit of a choice to make here. Playing The Division Resurgence really gave me Division 1 vibes, not just in the snowy streets of New York, but also just the way the game feels to play. When you jump into Resurgence for the first time, you will be welcomed by a simplified tutorial, running through movement, combat, skills and more. This is a very different tutorial from the previous version of the beta, which feels overall like a better onboarding process for new players, or gamers who might have played The Division before but maybe are new to mobile gaming. After you've run that tutorial, you get to customize your character. This is pretty light as far as character customization goes, but if the first and second Division games are anything to go by, it's not so much about the face or the hair of your character, but more about the apparel you pick up along the way that really lets you make your character your own. Let's just hope there's a good amount of this for free out in the game, and not just all hidden away in the store. Now you've finished the tutorial, you've made your character, and you are let loose on the city of New York, and the surprisingly numerous things you can get stuck into. But first, I want to circle back to that comment I made earlier. I said that The Division Resurgence gave me Division 1 vibes when it came to gameplay. Let me explain. There are small changes in The Division Resurgence in comparison to The Division 2. It feels like they've looked at what changed between Division 1 and Division 2 and what players weren't happy about, and tried to meet somewhere in the middle. For example, gone are the armor kits of the Division 2, but the returning medkits have also seen a little tweak. In the Division 1, you had an instant use medkit. You press the button and you would instantly get a portion of health back in one big block, whereas in the Division 2, we have armor kits. These give you a chunk of armor back all at once, but you do have to hold the button down for a few moments to apply the kit, making you vulnerable for a short time. In the Division Resurgence, we have instant medkits back. Press the button, get health. But instead of getting one big chunk, you get a heal over time. This fixes the Division 1's problem of players using the medkit to tank damage, and the, to be honest, unfun holding to apply armor kits of the Division 2. A small change, but honestly one I don't think will go unnoticed. Grenades also feel better in Resurgence, taking me back to the Division 1, with them feeling quick and snappy to use, instead of the forgotten grenades of the Division 2 that feel like they just take too long to prep and get in hand before use. But there is also something completely new that actually caught me a little off guard. Mid-gunfight, I clicked down the thumbstick expecting my character to switch shoulder, and behold, first-person aiming. This was so unexpected, it just felt weird for a moment, but the more I messed with it, the more I wanted it in the Division 2, giving you a more clear and accurate aim. Something I would like to talk about in the Division Resurgence is the Specializations. These are a far cry from what we currently see in the Division 2, possibly for the better. In the Division 2, your Specialization gives you a Specialization weapon, something so underused that Massive actually added a feature to hide it on your character. You get a Specialization pistol, which you probably never really look at, a unique grenade choice, an armor kit type, and a few perks which are the real reason you pick a specialization. These aren't necessarily game changing, but they are another layer on top of your build. Resurgence takes the idea of specializations and reforms them into more of a class selection. In Resurgence, each specialization is put together with a role in mind. DPS, tanking, healer, they feel more like they have a point. They also lock your skills and your signature skill, which is making a return from the Division 1, meaning you cannot just pick any skill. You have to use the 2 skills that are locked to your class or specialization. For example, I have been playing with Vanguard, a DPS specialization. This comes with the Pulse, boosting my damage to pulsed targets, a fortifying cover, and the Tac Link signature skill, which was a favourite of mine of the Division 1. Although in Resurgence, it works a bit more like a DPS boosting auto-aim. This means if I'm in a team and we want a pulse for extra damage, we have to have a Vanguard on the team. No other specialization or class can use that pulse. And I feel that's the real strength of the way Resurgence handles specializations: group composition. Resurgence takes specializations, uses them as classes, then encourages you to choose your group around what's referred to as the Holy Trinity of DPS, tank, and healer for taking on harder content, which fits with the MMO-like style of gameplay that I feel the Division Resurgence is trying to fit into with its shared open world. One place Resurgence did lose me was early on with the bomb defusal mechanics, which requires you to use the touchscreen to remove screws, move some wires, and then cut a wire. I was really enjoying the game up until this point. Then, while I was using a controller, being told to touch the screen and kind of wave my finger around to undo some bolts just kind of snapped me out of the game and reminded me that I was playing a mobile title. To me, just because they had the ability to introduce touch-only mechanics didn't mean they had to. But this might just be me. I'm sure there are plenty of players out there who might find this kind of gameplay more immersive. It does also sadden me to see the amount of pop-ups and different UI elements there are in the game. I know it's a mobile title and it's kind of the current climate of mobile gaming, but when you boot the game up, it just feels like you're almost assaulted with pop-ups, things to buy. I would like to see that toned down a little bit in the final release. Overall, the Division Resurgence is very impressive as a mobile title, and I think if you're looking for a quality game to carry in your pocket or play on your commute, the Division Resurgence is a strong contender for your time. However, from what I've seen, the monetization does look like it's being pushed pretty hard, with a battle pass, shop, and what looks like loot boxes. It is a shame to see this, but to be honest, I'm not overly surprised with the current mobile game climate. Although the Division Resurgence is looking to be a strong mobile title, I still lament what could have been a great game to join the mainline titles of the Division franchise. The game has some great changes, an interesting looking story, and plenty to keep you busy, but I suppose we will have to live with it on a small screen. As a compromise, I would love to see an official PC client for Resurgence at some point in the future, something that lets you log in with your mobile account depending on your mobile OS and play on your PC. Yes, the graphics would not look amazing on a larger screen, but they could offer the high graphics setting along with the high frame rate setting, giving you the higher graphics setting with a higher frame rate. Just throwing this out there, I think this is something players will be shouting for not long after the full game releases. So, what do you think of The Division Resurgence? Are you planning on playing it on release, or have you already played the beta? Let me know in the comments. I'm genuinely pretty curious to see how people feel about a Division game on mobile. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss future uploads. Have a great day, and I'll catch you in the next one.